Good evening, and we're here with Michele to get her views on climate change and global warming. How are you doing this evening, Michele?
I'm fine.
Michele, how do you feel about the notion of climate change and global warming? What are your ideas about the entire issue in general?
I don't really think that it's really much of an issue. I think it's just nature taking its course. And, there have been times throughout history that different things have happened, whether it's, sunspots, the solar flares, and that type of thing, or whatever. And I just think that nature's just running its course for the most part.
Michele, what do you think about all the media hype about going green? Nowadays you'll see it on the side of
They're just
buses.
way overdoing it. You know what? Everybody should just handle it however they wish, and the media is just way overgoing it.
Michele, what do you think about the government in terms of, creating all these new regulations on businesses, forcing them to be green, quote unquote? Uh, or do you think that the private sector should take care of, everybody going green in a more consumer-driven and consumer-oriented fashion?
I think um, private people, private citizens, private organizations should take whichever approach they feel responsible in taking. I don't think the government should force it on anybody. I think that each individual should, be a responsible citizen and take care of things in their own way. And, if for instance, well, it's just like polluting, you don't pollute, but you shouldn't have government regulations stopping you from doing it.
Michele, do you think that it's right to blame ourselves as the United States of America for global warming? Or do you think that other countries, such as China, which puts out almost twice as much carbon dioxide and other pollutants as we do you think they're to blame for it as well?
That's a tough one because personally, I don't think anyone is to blame. I think, as I mentioned at the beginning, it's just nature taking its course. But if you're going to try to pinpoint a particular area that's generating more of a warming type of an issue, it's all around the world. And China is, much more populated than the United States. So you can't really pin this on the United States. It's just not really fair at all.
Michele, recently at Brother Rice High School in Bloomfield Hills, some juniors and seniors took part in a global debate sponsored by the People Speak and the UN Foundation. And the topic of the debate was whether developed countries or developing countries should bear the burden of combating climate change. And the rationale behind the developed countries doing it was because they had more resources and wealth available. The rationale behind the developing countries doing it was that those countries didn't have infrastructure already in place to, clog up the system when they're trying to switch over to going green and combat climate change. Do you think either the developed countries or the developing countries should take care of the problem?
It's interesting you should bring that up because I happen to have been at that global debate, and I was quite impressed by the argument presented by the people that felt that the developing countries should take responsibility in that area. It's just a logical thing. They don't have the infrastructure already in place, so as they build their infrastructures, they can incorporate that in going forward, and it's just the logical way to deal with it.
Michele, recent evidence reported on by the BBC by some prominent scientists on climate change and global warming actually suggests that carbon dioxide and other pollutants may not actually be to blame for global warming, and instead they might help against climate change by making plants hardier and able to actually use more carbon dioxide. What do you think about that new evidence?
I'm impressed. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think for years people have just been saying, we need to be green, we need to do this, we need to do that. And I think sometimes when scientific evidence, like you just mentioned, comes out, people just dismiss it. The media doesn't give it much regard. But I think, in fact, it sounds like a very logical scientific conclusion. And, I think I'll just start breathing more.
So then, do you think in some ways that the whole global warming thing has been politicized a bit too much?
It's, yeah, definitely. It's been way overblown, and the Democrats are really just trying to use it to, just to sing their song and get on their bandwagon. And it's just ridiculous,
Thank you very much, Michelle. We hope to speak with you again.
I'm sure.